Welcome in, What's Right with Nick Wright, a somewhat emergency reaction episode to day one of the NBA playoffs, Saturday and Sunday, I guess day 1 and 2, but game ones across the board. 8 games, 3.5 interesting ones is, to my eye, maybe you could say 3 3/4 interesting ones, depending on what you think of Pacers-Bucks. We're going to start with Warriors-Rockets. We will then get to the Lakers getting absolutely unraveled by the Timberwolves, and then probably the best game of the weekend, Clippers-Nuggets, with a few minutes on the 4 other games, most notably Knicks-Pistons. Warriors-Rockets, watched it live last night, rewatched the bulk of the second half this morning. And there are some things that should not surprise you at all. The Rockets' defense being as advertised all year, that's a good thing for them. The Rockets' offense being as you worried about once the playoffs got going, that's a bad thing for them. Both of those showed up. My pick in this series was Rockets in 7. And I'm not going to lie to the audience that game didn't shake my faith in the fact that the Rockets can go blow for blow with the Warriors. It did shake my faith a bit in if this team gets to a game 7, do they have anyone that is going to be able to make shots? Now, the Rockets, or if you didn't watch the game, the Rockets are not going to be 6 of 29 from 3 throughout the series, and you did see how limited the Warriors' offense is outside of Steph and Jimmy. But the outside of Steph and Jimmy doesn't matter when the Warriors' defense, which has been the number 1 defense in basketball since they got Jimmy Butler, can suffocate the Rockets, holding them to 85 points. And when Steph Curry, who the last time the Warriors played the Rockets scored 3, scores 31. And so my biggest takeaways from this game, in no particular order. Şengün's got to be even more active, and Şengün has to be willing, and he was in this game to his credit. If Draymond is going to give you those 8 to 14 footers, you just got to take them. And now Şengün made that one end of shot clock 3. This is a guy who on the year only, he took just over 1 3 a game and was 23%. It's not his game. He almost has to be willing to take 1 or 2 of those a game, not just end of shot clock, because they are giving him so much space, and maybe that can open things up. Obviously, for the Rockets side of things, they need Van Vliet to be better. Van Vliet hit the 1 shot late, and that's what was so interesting about this game. Rockets found themselves down by 24 after the Warriors avalanche, 23-24. Steph hits the insane 3, and then they punched back, and they got it all the way down to 4 points with Fred Van Vliet finally hitting a 3 after starting the game 1 of 10, but they weren't able to get over the hump. They had used a bad challenge earlier in the game, or in the fourth quarter, on a block charge, which just, unless you are 100%, those aren't getting overturned. And because of that, they weren't able to use their challenge on an obvious out of bounds call when the ball went off Draymond down 4 late in the fourth. They can't challenge it. Warriors inbound it. Steph hits a rainbow 3 from 30 feet, and all of a sudden you're down 7, and they never got closer. So they had their opportunities, but Jalen Green is going to have to show up, and the concern for the Rockets on the Jalen Green front is, and I understand it's a weird spot because they had everything locked up, he wasn't playing big minutes, but Jalen Green, now his last 4 games, 5 points, 7 points, 2 points, 7 points. That's your leading scorer on the season. And so he's going to have to get going. Amen Thompson seems shell-shocked by the game. That's fine. Second-year player, first playoff game. He's going to have to be more impactful defensively. because the Rockets, despite Amen Thompson not having his typical Amen Thompson-esque impact on the defensive end, the Rockets will sign up for the Warriors scoring 95 points in every single game. It was the Warriors' defense combined with the Rockets' whole total inability to score that allowed the Warriors to control this game. And now on the Warriors' side of things, credit where credit is due. Jimmy was excellent on both sides of the ball again. 25, 7, 6, 5 steals, only 1 foul. Plus minus can be misleading. In this instance, it wasn't. Plus 14 in Jimmy's minutes. And Steph, after, I think, starting 0 for 3, then at one point made 11 of his next 12 or 11 of his next 13. And just those backbreaker, latent shot clock, good defensive possession. The Rockets did a good job staying attached to Steph. These weren't practice shots by any means, and Steph made them pay anyway. I know game ones are tough because you don't want to underreact, but also you're prone to overreact. Steph and Jimmy combining for 56 points is something the Warriors will sign up for every game the rest of the series. That's great production. The fact that they combined for 56 and the rest of the Warriors combined for 39 is something the Rockets will sign up for every single game the rest of the series. And I think the Warriors only hitting 12 threes is not really going to be an outlier for this series because the Rockets are that good defensively. The question is, can the Rockets find anybody who seems comfortable taking tough and big shots? And there's one other element that I haven't even discussed that's one of the biggest stories of the game, which is the Steven Adams minutes. The only person on the Rockets with a positive plus minus. And again, I'm not trying to lean too much on plus minus, but it passed the eye test. When Adams was out there, he not only was the biggest player on the court, but he looked even bigger than he actually is. So we'll get to Steven Adams in a minute. The player for the Rockets that I would be looking at and saying, could he be a guy who does more for us this series, is a guy who they took third in the draft a few years ago and has kind of stayed the same level player since his rookie year. He's been a 13 and 7, 8 guy as a rookie, and he's a 13, 7 and 7 or 8 guy as a third-year player, and that's Jabari Smith. Jabari Smith is a 6'10 guy that can shoot. When he was drafted that high, the hope was that if he can develop his shot, and again, after being, I think, a 30% free throw or 3-point shooter as a rookie, he's around 35%. Could he be Michael Porter Jr., worse jump shot, better defense, but a really tall guy who presents matchup problems, who can hit threes? Again, Michael Porter Jr. is probably a bad comp because even though they're the same height, Porter Jr. is a huge defensive liability and a great shooter. You hope Jabari Smith can be a good defender and a good shooter. But Jabari Smith, in this game, the only guy who was hitting all his free throws, hit his 3 shots from the field, hit his 1 3. Can he do a little bit more? And the other question for the Rockets is Steven Adams, who is in this weird place where he's in year 13, but he just turned 31, I think. Can Steven Adams play not just 20 minutes, but 30 minutes? Because the Steven Adams minutes, the Warriors look tiny. And Quentin Post has nothing for him. Quentin Post is out there just to shoot threes. The Warriors don't want to play Looney. They have put Jonathan Kuminga totally on ice. And so are the Rockets comfortable playing a lot of minutes with the two bigs? Here's the thing. And this is the problem with losing game one when you're the home team and you're the young team. it's not going to matter the long series adjustments if you don't respond in game 2 with a great shooting performance and bounce back. Because what I do know is this: even though I think the Rockets are a better team than the Warriors, they lose the first 2 at home, that series is over. And so they are tiny favorites in game 2, 2-point favorites. That is, we do, silly must win on the TV show. That is definitionally a must win for the Rockets. I still think this is a 7-game series. My faith in the Rockets being able to get to 100 points in a game 7, even in their building, wavering a little bit after that performance. Now, speaking of faith wavering, the game I was most excited for, that was a good game for about a quarter and a half, and then an absolute rout. Timberwolves 117, Lakers 95. Now, some folks are going to say, well, Timberwolves go 21 of 42 from 3. Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels combined for almost 50. You're just going to lose that game. That's not my analysis of it. I wish that was my analysis of it. If a team has an outlier shooting night and they barely beat you, or it's a close game, like the Warriors did to the Lakers about 3 weeks ago, that one I can chalk up to, okay, one team made shots, the other team didn't. That is not the game that I saw Saturday night. Because, yes, the Timberwolves had an outlier shooting night, but they blew the Lakers out. And, yeah, the Lakers made a slight rally late, like maybe are they going to make it a game? The answer was no. They were not going to make it a game. And I said on Friday that I thought Anthony Edwards was going to average 32 a game in this series, because I thought the Lakers were simply going to take their medicine, that he was going to have matchup advantages, they would stay home somewhat on shooters, and say, listen, Ant, have at it, but you're not going to beat us 2 points at a time. That is not at all what they did. Not even close. What they did, they being the Lakers, was pack the paint, which you expected, and then also send help to Ant, who just sprayed the ball all around the court, and it led to the Timberwolves starting the game 21 of 40 from 3 before the bench came in. The Lakers will lose if they keep that up. I think the Lakers are a better team. I think that there are a lot of pieces on the Lakers offense side we can get to, but the Lakers choosing, because we don't have rim protection, we're going to leave shooters, rather than because we don't have rim protection, we're just going to take our medicine if Anthony Edwards goes crazy. I think that is the wrong fork in the road to take. I think that you cannot let all of these Minnesota role players feel good about what's going on, be more engaged on defense because they're seeing the ball go through the hoop, and approach it that way. I also think that the Timberwolves' approach defensively on Luka was a smart one, which was, Luka, if you get 40, you get 40. You are not going to generate a million open threes. And that's why Luka had 37 points and 1 assist. I thought, listen, Luka was the one Laker who I thought played quite well. I didn't think his defense killed him. The 1 assist was because things were not available. The idea that Luka took other guys out of the game, I don't buy that. So, and the Lakers got blown out in the non-Luka minutes. They didn't do great in the Luka minutes, but in Luka's off the court for 8 minutes, they lose those by, God, I don't even know, 10 points in 8 minutes. So that is, Luka bears the least brunt of the blame here, but the Timberwolves' defensive approach to the Lakers needs to be more of the Lakers' defensive approach to the Timberwolves. Now, I understand if people are listening and they're like, well, the Timberwolves have Rudy Gobert, and because of that, they can stay home with shooters because they have a rim protector. I get it. I understand. The Timberwolves are expected to be a much better defense than the Lakers, and they are a better defense than the Lakers. I get that. But there needs to be an adjustment in the Lakers' defensive approach, and there also needs to be an adjustment on, if you think Jackson Hayes is, I wouldn't necessarily change the starting lineup in game 2 of the playoffs, but if he's only playing 8 minutes, there's not really much of a reason to play him any minutes. And if you just want to start really small, the one thing the Timberwolves didn't do was take advantage of the Lakers' lack of size by letting Gobert get involved on lobs or jump hooks, anything like that. Gobert had 2 shot attempts. They just wouldn't pass him the ball, but Gobert was effective. He had some good defense on LeBron drives, some good defense on Luka drives, and you give him credit. Now, am I panicked if I'm the Lakers? No, I'm not panicked. And we did see, during the bubble, they lost game 1 to Portland, won the series in 5. Lost game 1 to Houston, won the series in 5. This does not feel like those series felt, but there are obvious adjustments. One is LeBron being more aggressive from the opening tip. Now, we've seen LeBron in game 1s. We know that is not really his MO. And he kind of got it going a bit in the second quarter, but him being more aggressive early. And the other thing, and this is no shocker, Austin Reeves has to play better. Austin Reeves was the Lakers' worst defender and probably their worst offensive player. So none of that is going to work. So everything bad that the Lakers could do, they did in this game, which is why they lost by 20. What I will tell you is the Timberwolves, and they shouldn't be, are not scared at all. And the Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards, a team that stared down Kevin Durant and Devin Booker last year, and that stared down Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray last year and walked them down in a game 7, are not intimidated by Luka and LeBron. I thought it was disappointing that the Lakers were not able to attack Mike Conley more, and I thought some of the Lakers' defensive disadvantages should have been muted to a degree by the fact that they shouldn't have needed to guard Gobert because the Timberwolves just wouldn't give Gobert the ball. Now, another small silver lining for the Lakers, if you think this, if you're not writing them off after game 1. Playoff Julius Randle does appear to be here. Had some dumb fouls, seemed to be in a weird machismo thing with LeBron, had a half dozen turnovers, and yes, he hit his threes, but not much else. And so that's something to watch for. How aggressive LeBron comes out to open game 2 is something to watch for. And do the Lakers trim down Jackson Hayes' 8 minutes to even less? I don't know that you really can. I don't know that that's their plan. But I almost feel like it needs to be 0 or it needs to be 15. But 8 minutes doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense to me. So it's not panic time for the Lakers, but you cannot chalk that game up to the Timberwolves were hot. There were bigger issues than that, and LeBron's got to be better. Austin's got to be way better, and any game that Luka has 1 assist, the Lakers are going to lose. And again, be clear, I'm not putting the blame on Luka there, but when the Timberwolves have 29 assists and the Lakers have 15, that feels accurate. And typically, the team with more assists might also have a bunch of turnovers because the ball's popping around the court. That wasn't the case here. Timberwolves only had 10 turnovers, and again, Julius Randle had almost all of them. Everyone else who was handing the ball in Timberwolves did a great job. So Lakers got to fix that quickly, and I think they have to adjust what they're doing defensively as far as, listen, take your medicine with Anthony Edwards. Don't let those shooters have, I think of their 42 three-point attempts, I think 35 of them, maybe 37 of them, were open or wide open. All right, get to the other games quickly, but let me remind you, the NBA 82-game grind is done. Now, the real fun begins. NBA playoffs are here. It's time for high-stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw-dropping plays. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From the play-in games all the way through to the finals, now's the time to back your favorite players and teams as they chase glory. All season long, DraftKings has been the go-to spot for NBA player props, and that doesn't stop now. Want to make your playoff experience even more intense? Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30, 40, more? Your call. Ready to place your first bet? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Lock in your bets, and let's make this playoff run unforgettable. Something special for first-timers, new DraftKings customers. Bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Wright. That's code Wright for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. So, the other games. Nuggets, Clippers was a game it felt like, to me, the Clippers needed to steal. And it's not steal as in they had been thoroughly outplayed. It was far from that. But because that game was in Denver, because you put 40-plus minutes on Kawhi and Harden, I know it went to overtime, but that's more damaging for them than I think for other teams, because just as, you know, the schedule works out, they are playing tonight, so they don't get the 2 days off. Everyone but, you know, I shouldn't say everyone, but half of these teams are going to end up with multiple days off. Clippers Nuggets draw the short straw on that one, which is more damaging because the game went to overtime. And so you got the full Russell Westbrook experience. I'm not breaking news on that. He made the huge three. He also made some insane decisions, including not getting a shot off late in the, you know, as time expired in regulation, the driving to the basket on a critical possession when he just needed to pull it out. And he also took 17 shots. If you're the Clippers, you are thrilled that he took 17 shots. Thrilled. And if you're the Clippers, I think you are preparing for a lot of Russell Westbrook out there, because they put Michael Porter Jr. on ice in that game. I talked about the minutes. Minutes for the Nuggets. Gordon 46, Jokic 46, Murray 48, Brown 45. It was another way the biggest winner of this weekend really was Oklahoma City, and they earned it. They played a leisurely 20 minutes, annihilate the Grizzlies in historic fashion, and get real evidence. Nuggets Clippers is going to be a war. They're going to have a week off before round 2 starts, and the Nuggets just, once you put Michael Porter Jr. on ice because he doesn't have it, and some concerning comments from Joker after the game, I don't know if he was talking about him or not, where he's basically like, listen, if you're not ready, you shouldn't, if you're not, I don't want to misquote him, but the Jokic quote after the game about staying locked in or something seemed odd, and it seemed like it was maybe about Michael Porter Jr. You're going to get a lot of Russell Westbrook. Now, his rebounding was excellent. His energy was excellent. He made the huge three. But you're going to live with Russ. You're going to die with Russ. I do like the Nuggets in this series. I said that before the series. Clippers, if they could have stolen that one, could have shifted a lot. I am curious at altitude, the legs of both of these teams, but notably Kawhi and Harden, just 48 hours after a 40-plus minute game. Jokic and Murray have been playing these 40-plus minute playoff games forever. Gordon seems fine, and Christian Brown's young. I think that Kawhi and Harden are the guys to watch. I would imagine, I haven't looked at the line for this. Yeah, it's basically pick 'em. Clippers by 1. I expect this to be a 7-game war. Game 1 going to overtime only confirmed that. Listen, 3 of the games are totally irrelevant. The Grizzlies don't want to be there. The Magic put up a good fight. I shouldn't say irrelevant, but the Magic put up a good fight for a half, and then the inability to score is going to hurt you. Yes, I mean, we had 3 teams this weekend not break 90, and the Grizzlies didn't break. They scored 80 and allowed 131. The Magic, who had 37 second-half points, and then the Rockets, who we talked about earlier. Scary moment with Tatum, but it looks like his wrist is fine. Heat Cavs. Going into the fourth, it's like, oh, are the Heat going to make these guys work? The answer was no. And then the Knicks, after looking really shaky for the first 3 quarters, have their best run of the season. Garden on fire, Mikal Bridges on the bench, something to watch. And they go 21-0, and the Pistons, who are thinking, are we going to steal a game when Cade doesn't even play that well? The answer is no. I'm going to be at the Knicks-Pistons game tonight, at least I think I am, and we'll be back with the regular pod with DeMonze Tuesday morning. We might do a bunch of these quick-hitter, kind of 30-minute bite-sized reaction pods after the great games or weekends of a ton of games. Please like, rate, subscribe, review. That way you know when the extra pods come out. Thank you to Paul for working extra for us. And see you guys Tuesday with DeMonze reacting to Game 2 of Clippers-Nuggets, Game 2 of Pistons-Knicks, and even deeper dive on the Warriors-Rockets and the Lakers-Timberwolves. What's right?